Hello, Namaskara, and welcome to the School of Men, a talk show of the men for the men, where we bring on experts, achievers, and people with inspiring stories to share their knowledge and wisdom, which can help you and me excel in all areas of our life and fulfill our fullest potential. And today's episode is going to be super special because on the show we have a man who is all the three. He's an expert, he's an achiever, and has an inspiring story to share. Within 1 year of starting his career as a software engineer at Infosys Technologies Limited, he April fooled his way out of the job and went on to build India's leading corporate gifting and merchandising company, which surprisingly now is maintaining the merchandising store of the very company he quit in 2005. His company is also a gifting and merchandising partner to over 2,000 corporates in India. And in the year 2023-24, his company made a whopping revenue of 40 crore rupees. He's an expert in integrating technology to an otherwise very conventional kind of business to create a seamless experience for his clients and the beneficiaries. He also champions the cause of employee engagement and helps employers to create a deep connection and bond with their employees. I am very, very honored and fortunate to welcome the CEO and founder of Offin Needs, the super cool, humble, and very friendly Bangalorean Srikanth Acharya. Srikanth, welcome to the show.
Hi, Adarsh. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for such a generous introduction. I'm thrilled to be here. We've met on a couple of occasions, and I think what you're doing is super cool, super awesome. More power to you. I'm so looking forward to this conversation, Adarsh.
Yes, Shrikant, thank you so much. I'm also excited because, I feel like a kid in the candy store now because you have a vast experience of 19 years. I'm also a young entrepreneur. It's been 5 years of my entrepreneurial journey, and you have four times more experience than me. And I think you also got a lot of lessons to share, which can help me and my listeners to take home and implement in their life and excel in their life. So, Shrikant, uh, why not give us a brief account of your upbringing and your background before we get into your career and your achievements?
Yeah, yeah. So I was. My parents are both, very normal, middle class background. Both of them were in working jobs. My mom was in a bank. My father was in a couple of different jobs. And I was born in Bangalore and then brought up in multiple locations because they were in transferable jobs. I was brought up in Belgaum, Visakhapatnam, then around my high schooling days, we relocated back to Bangalore, and since then, Bangalore has been home. Um, I was generally a very silent kid as a kid, and then after I did my engineering in a college called SIT Tumkur. Tumkur is a town which is about 70 kilometers away from Bangalore, and then I got campus recruited into Infosys as a software engineer, and it was a pretty good job back then when I got the job. This was in 2004. It was like an extremely prestigious thing. You are also an
Yeah, yeah,
ex-Infosian, so you know back early 2000s, mid 2000s, it was a very, very prestigious thing that you got recruited
yes,
into Infosys. It
yeah,
was still a
absolutely.
mid-sized organization. It was not the kind of behemoth it is right now. And then after 1 year, like you said, I played an April Fool's prank and I quit my job and I started a corporate gifting company. And it's been 19 years as we speak. I've completed more than 19 years in business and loving every bit of what it is that I do.
Yeah. Shrikant, can you share your journey from that April Fool's prank to building your business? And let our listeners or audience know what it takes, from going from being a job holder to build a company and becoming successful in that.
Right, right. So I've told this story multiple times and I'm going to share it once again. So I love playing April Fool's pranks, right? And April 1st, 2005 is when I was working with Infosys and I played a prank. I told everyone that I'm going to quit Infosys. And back then, it was like a very, very prestigious thing that you're working
Yeah.
at Infosys. If you got a job, it was unheard of that you would quit. And back then, entrepreneurship was absolutely unheard of. People wouldn't quit and start. Startup was the word which had started, not yet been coined, I think. And people thought I had gone insane. I gave many heart attacks to a lot of people, and that was exactly the reaction which I needed, right? And it went on until somebody said, "Okay, what are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to start a business." What business are you going to start? I had not thought that the prank will go so far. Okay, so I had not thought about what business am I going to say that I started. So I just blurted out, I'm going to start a corporate gifting company. And the reason why I said corporate gifting is because a couple of weeks prior or a month prior or something, I had got a T-shirt from Infosys with the Infosys logo on it, which I was wearing over the weekend. And one of my friend who was there, whom I met in the weekend, he was in the apparel or garment business, and he said, "Hey, whoever got this order as a part of that conversation." And that just stuck in my head. That's all that there was. So I just blurted out, I'm going to start a corporate gifting company. And everybody's like, what is corporate gifting? Companies want to give gifts to their employees, customers, etc. Why will somebody do for this reason? How are you going to get these customers? I'm going to do this. How are you going to build a team? I'm going to do this. How are you going to search service products? I'm going to do this. I just, whatever came to my mind, I just went on saying it. The only intent was to keep the prank going as long as possible. Then it went on, and by evening, I said, "Hey, I was just kidding. I'm not quitting. Tomorrow, I'm coming back to office. Not to worry, I'm going to be around for a long time," and stuff like that. And that's how that prank played out. And over the next few days, I realized that while answering all these questions, kind of a business plan had formed off in my head. I'd thought about a lot of these things, and I was like, okay, I'm not a great software developer. I mean, Infosys at that point of time had some 25,000 employees, so it
Mhm.
doesn't make much difference if I move out or anything like that. And if I want to try my hand at business, now is a great opportunity because I don't have education loans, I don't have
Mhm.
home loans, car loans. I'm not yet married. I don't have kids. I don't have so much responsibility. The salary that I earn, my parents don't need it so much. So it was a easy time. I mean, the least amount of risk I had at that point of time. And I was like, hey, what's the worst that could happen? I'll come back and I'll find a job, right? So that's how it started off. And I put in my papers, and I one of the things that I did is I connected my partner to my HR before I left, and I said, my friend, I didn't say I'm a part of that company. The company had not yet been formed actually at that point of time. I said, this is my
Mhm.
friend. He runs a corporate gifting business. I introduced him, got the company registered as a vendor, and then moved out and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
that was a different era altogether, right? So mobile phones were there, but incoming was 16 8 rupees per minute, outgoing was 16 rupees per minute. So you wouldn't use mobile phones so
Yeah.
much like the way we
Yeah.
use it. And cold calls, we would do cold calls by looking at yellow pages. I don't know, most people may not even know what is yellow
Yeah. Yeah.
pages,
I'm
right? You
pretty
get
sure.
this huge phone directory which you get, and you flip through those, see who has ads, and make calls to those numbers. And we used to make calls on coin booths. Go sit by a coin booth, have a lot of 1 rupee coins with you, make those calls, and that is how it used to happen. But I think the most successful way how I got um, business in the early days was by telling all my friends who are engineers, right? They were working in some company or the other. I told them all, connect me to your HR manager. Tell them that my friend is running a corporate gifting company. Everybody connected. I went and met all those HR managers and admin managers, and I would introduce about what we do about corporate gifting, and they would say, "Okay, but your friend told me that you quit Infosys. Is that true?" Right? The conversation would invariably go to, "Why did you quit? Are you crazy?" And they would say, "Okay, this guy seems to be doing something. Let's give him an opportunity." That's how I got majority of my customers. And the first, I think, 2 3 years was amazing. It was phenomenal. I think it was like a honeymoon period. It was like business was just coming our way. It was great fun. We were making a lot of mistakes also, but I just fell in love with entrepreneurship in those first 2 3 years, and there was no looking back after that.
Yeah, great, Srikanth. See, quitting Infosys became your selling point, right? That became your kind of
Yeah,
USP or the uh,
correct.
attraction. Okay,
Absolutely.
Srikanth, do you remember what was your first sale? How did that play out?
I do remember. Actually, the first sale was my partner Srinath was also he was working he said, I will also quit and I'll start. And his uncle Bhimsen, one he still continues to be a well-wisher. He used to run. He still runs a company which is into distribution of fertilizers and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
he's the person who gave us an order, and I remember it was an order for some 100 wristwatches with logos. So we
Okay.
went to the Chickpet area in Bangalore, found a vendor, and got the order
Mm-hmm.
executed and things, and totally botched up the order. Uh, the watches were not working, and it was total mess of an order. And but he was kind enough not to penalize us too much or anything like that. But it was a very very important lesson that it's one thing to be theoretical, but in reality, it
Yeah.
is a lot harder than you would have imagined, right? So it's not, you cannot just take somebody's word of mouth and say that this person will do it. You have to be a lot more conscious about quality. There's a lot more effort that goes into making things happen. Um, that was the first order. I remember it was some 35,000 rupees order, and we were thrilled about having gotten that order. Yeah, so that, and I remember, I think it took us the first 7 or 8 months or something before we cracked an order which was more than 1 lakh rupees, and we celebrated like crazy when we got an order
Mm-hmm.
which was more than 1 lakh rupees. So yeah, I remember all those initial orders.
Yeah. Do you remember how much money you made on that first order?
Not really. I don't remember exactly how much we made as profits in that order, but I'm thinking it should be somewhere in the 30, 40, 50% kind of a markup at that point of time.
Okay, okay, great. So before we move into much more details of how you went on to build a 20,000 square feet state-of-the-art operational center, I would like to ask about, see, the difficult part for any middle class person or a salaried person to quit a job is you will not have that courage to do it,
Yeah.
right? I want you to talk about that, how you got that courage, one thing. Second thing is, even if you muster the courage, because I have been through this, muster the courage, there is always a pushback from family, friends, and
Yeah.
well-wishers. Did anyone call you a fool? Are you a fool? Why you're doing this? Something like this. Please share something about that part of your story.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I know a lot of friends who go through that challenge, but I think I was lucky in a lot of ways. My father also had been running a small business for some time, so he was very encouraging. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people in the family, including my mom, including a lot of my relatives, thought I was crazy. Because just 1 year prior, there was like huge celebration. Everybody was super proud that you got into Infosys, and it was like I was the star and kind of a role model. I'm one among the elder guys in among all my cousins and things like that. So like I'd shown the path, what is how everybody else should do. So there was a lot of criticism, and there was a lot of questioning. Why don't you try this part time, see whether it works or not, and stuff like that. But generally, from my close, my father, my mother, and close friends and things like that, there was a decent level of encouragement and support which was there, because I think to some extent and um, and I think I've been little outgoing during my college days. I used to be active in the college fest. I used to be enterprising in my own way. I think I started the first in our college, the first online magazine I started. So for that, I used to go out. I used to go meet people. I used to interview somebody. And this was way before WordPress was there and things like that. There was a lot of things that I did differently. There used to be a small camera, digital camera, which was there, which I insisted that the college should buy so that we can go and take pictures and put it. And nobody really understood why it is, but the computer science department felt that this is a good project, and they gave it to us. And I would take that around, do photographic, take a lot of pictures. That was the initial days of digital photography and things like that. So I've been quite enterprising in that sense. And I used to run during summer holidays. I used to go sell something. I used to earn some pocket money, all that kind of stuff. So in that sense, I think it was not such a difficult decision for me to do, and
Mm-hmm.
predominantly because of the warm up that had already happened, during my school, college. As a matter of fact, I think the first business that I ran was when I was 10 years old, 10 or 12 years old.
Yeah.
where
I know that.
I yeah, it's an interesting story. Maybe I can talk about that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
uh, yeah, okay. So I'll talk about that. So when I was about, I think around 10 or 12 years old, there used to be this thing called WWF. Now it's called WWE, I think, basically wrestling. And it was a big, big craze. Cable TV had just come into India and uh, they got this WWF, and all the kids just loved it. You had your own favorite stars and all of that kind of stuff. And the winner of the wrestling tournament or something would get one big belt. Okay, it would be such a large belt with a shiny thing. The winner would get it and he would show it off and stuff like that. And there was that belt, a mock-up of that belt or like a miniature version or something was available in a shop near my school. And I told my dad that I wanted it. And he said, no way, that was some 200 rupees or some amount at that point of time. I can't remember. He said, no way, what are you going to do with that belt and stuff like that? And I just didn't get it. I tried all the drama, crying and speaking to my grandma, all that, nothing worked, right? And then I said, okay, at least give me that. There used to be a thing called trump cards. It's a pack of cards where you would read out the statistics of the fighter and you would win against each other. I said, okay, at least buy me that trump cards. He said, no, you made so much drama out of this. I don't want you to do anything with this WWF. So I'm not giving you the trump cards also. So I said, okay. In the same shop, there was one large poster which had stamp size pictures of all the fighters. So that poster was not too expensive. So I bought that and then I cut it, and there was a club near my house which would discard old playing cards. So I got that and took gum and stickers and stuff like that and pasted all of these things on the thing, hand wrote all the statistics and made my own custom made pack of cards, and I would go play around with that. And somehow I ended up selling that pack of cards to one kid. And then I realized that another kid asked me, can you make me, I made it for two, three other kids. And then one kid asked me, can you make his favorite star was somebody, let's say Yokozuna or whatever, right? Can you make my star as number one and give me a pack of cards? I said, yeah, sure, why not? So I customized the pack of cards like that. I made a custom pack of cards like that for women fighters, for a girl who wanted. And I think I sold some 5 or 6 pack of cards. So I started entrepreneurship early in that sense, right? So the warm up had already been done, so it was relatively easy for me to take that decision, and that's an advice which I would give to youngsters today. When you have, do internships, try out different projects, be experimental. Don't confine yourself. If you think, as much as possible, use the free time that you have to do something productive. And
Mm,
there are so many opportunities that are there. Learn new tools, learn AI,
yeah.
learn different software, try video blogging, try selling this network marketing, try something, keep trying something, because you never know where that skill is going to come in handy. So if you're able to do that, that is when you will be comfortable. You will have the courage to be able to take on a big leap and things like that, right? So that would be my advice. So it's a lot like swimming, right? If you say, now I suddenly need to swim in the ocean, it's not going to be possible. It's going to take a lot of courage to be able to jump off a boat,
Yeah.
and to do that. But if you've done your warm up, you've done in your little pools where the shallow depth is there, and you practiced and you've done all of that kind of stuff, when the right moment comes, you'll be able to take the plunge.
Yeah, great analogy, Srikanth. One more thing I wanted to point out here. Yesterday itself, I was reading a book. I'm on this journey of 75 hard challenge, and I'm rereading all the books I read when I started my transformation journey 8 years back.
Brilliant.
So there is a thing called success premium. Like when you become successful at anything in your life, whatever it may be, that will overflow in other areas of life, right?
Mm.
So if you become successful, it happened to me, like I became successful in my fitness, so it overflew into other areas of my life. I carried that mindset in other areas of my life, and inevitably
Yeah.
I improved in all areas of my life, my relationships, my work, environment, how I deal with other
Mm.
people, how I see myself, all those stuff. And it's a great example. It's good that I brought this out of you, this story of trump card, because only when you try something will you understand. Otherwise, in nowadays, there is a lot of information about entrepreneurship, about success, but the true success will only happen when you try out things. Otherwise, it will not happen. This I can also
Absolutely.
say with my own first-hand experience. Like it's a totally different thing. Normal people will never get what a business owner is going through or what is entrepreneurship until they get into the business, right?
Absolutely. Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Shrikant, so you said the journey was easy. It was not necessarily easy, but journey was a honeymoon period, the initial part of your entrepreneurial journey. Did you come across other problems, setbacks, and hurdles through these 19 years of your journey?
Yeah, plenty. I mean, I said, like you said, I said it was a honeymoon period because it was starting and it worked out really good. After that, it's been plenty of ups and downs. It's been an absolute roller coaster ride. There have been plenty of ups and plenty of severe downs. We've seen, I think there have been at least 3 to 4 occasions during these 19 years where I almost ended up going bankrupt, where I almost thought I should stop and I should start looking for a job, where I had, the highest level of self-doubt, where I thought this is the end. There is no way that you can do anything beyond that. And this happened at least 3 or 4 times. And yeah, eventually things get better. But it is far, far from being a straight, easy line. There's plenty of unplanned situations the unplanned occasions which happen. For example, when we started, the first 2 3 years were really great, right? But after that, 2008 and 8, there is a Lehman Brothers crash which happened, right? That was a very very big crash, and that kind of completely destabilized our business, and business dynamics changed. After that, what was working till then was my charm and my partner's charm and our ability, our youngsters, and our hustle and all of that. After that, it stopped working because everything works until some time, then it stops working. You need to do something differently. So the way I say is that when you want to go from 0 to 1, the rules are different. When you want to go from 1 to 10, the rules are different. When you want to go from 10 to 100, the rules are different. When you want to go from 100 to 1,000, the rules are very, very different. It's like a completely different ball game altogether. It's like you're playing gully cricket, then you need to play cricket in, a hard ball in a proper playground or whatever. Then you need to, it's like that. The rules are completely different, and you need to be flexible. You need to be willing to learn, grow, adapt, and be aware when that change needs to happen. But entrepreneurship, like life, is far from being a straight line. There is plenty of ups and downs all the time.
Shrikant, I'm sure you know a lot of friends who are also entrepreneurs. Is it very common that everybody goes through these cycles of self-doubt? Is it
Absolutely.
is it
Very,
inevitable?
very common. It is inevitable. It is very, very common. It happens across. Sometimes it is in the starting, sometimes it is in the middle, but I think that is something which is always going to be there. And I think you become an entrepreneur because you're never satisfied, right? I don't think you'll ever be happy saying, okay, I have achieved this. You always keep pushing yourself and saying, okay, I want something else. I want something else because um, where we are at, the revenue which we are doing right now, the kind of organization we run, the number of employees, the kind of clients that we have is a dream for a lot of people. And it was
Mm.
a dream for me also, a few years back. But now it is like, hey, this is the base now. We can't go beyond this. How do we 10x from here? Right? What do we do? That drive which is there for an entrepreneur is something which is always going to be there. And because of that, at some point of time, you feel like you're stagnated and you'll tend to feel that, hey, is it all that I can do? Because, like I said, the rules change. What got you here won't get you there, and you
Mm.
need to learn a new set of skills. And then starts self doubt. Starts You start to doubt whether saying, is it something that I'm able to do? Because you'll not see the kind of success that you've seen in your first innings. You may not see in the second innings.
So, do you have any advice how to get over this self-doubt? What can a person do? Maybe an entrepreneur or anybody like I'm sure a lot of people, even people who are in a traditional, job
Yeah,
kind of scenario, they go through these self-doubts and phases where they feel that they are not good enough. How
yeah.
could you overcome your self-doubts and all these, periods of low and what would you advise to any other person who is going through this currently?
I would say 2 or 3 things. One is surround yourself with amazing people. Right? You are really an average of the people, 5 people you spend time with, and things like that. Right? So make sure that you are surrounding yourself with amazing, positive people who are aspirational, who are go-getters, who are positive in mind, who are not just in their mindset, in their frame of thinking, and the things that they do are growth related, are positive. So surround yourself, make friends with people who are like that, right? So who are taking good care of their fitness, who are outdoorsy, who are networking, who are learning, who are upgrading themselves on a regular basis. So that is something which you need to do. Try to have a peer group which is more intelligent, preferably more successful, wealthier, fitter than you, so that you go up to that level. So that way, when you're with a group like that, you're always motivated. You have something to look forward to, and your conversations are positive, and that kind of pours a positive feedback into your mind, that things are positive, and you are more inspired, and it's a loop which is there, right? If the loop
Mm.
is negative, you will feel negative, you spiral. And if your conversations are positive, you're having great people, that spiral is positive and it is going upward, which is there. So one is surround yourself with great positive people. Two is, I would say, you have to be a lifelong learner. And you cannot carry your laurels with you. I did that yesterday, I did that last year, I was a star performer last year. It doesn't matter, things keep changing, things keep evolving. You have to, what you did yesterday is okay, it's all right, it should give you that confidence, but don't let that become dead weight, right? Because things are changing at such a fast pace right now. And the younger generation is so smart. They can take over, and they can beat you inside out big time if you are not ready to catch up with the latest things in your particular business or in your particular industry, and if you're not on top of your game. So make sure you're a lifelong learner. Have Make it a habit to read, to watch podcasts, listen to podcasts, watch interviews. Try to spend time on learning more than reels or Instagram or whatever time passical stuff, right? So try to make sure you're constantly learning and learn those things that are relevant, not generic stuff, right?
Mm.
So, I mean, uh, politics and all that. If it is relevant to you, you do that. But otherwise, there is no. I say learn, study what will help you achieve your goals. Anything else that you're studying is just knowledge which is there. You're piling up that knowledge bank. I know a lot of people who know everything about everything, right? I'm
Mm.
like, how do they know so much? But what do they do with that so much?
Yeah.
Nothing, just great conversations, that's it, right? But if you're able to make sure you have a focused learning mechanism where you're constantly learning, which will help you achieve your goals, which will help you make progress in your goals, that is something that I think you should always be having, because that will keep you grounded. It will keep you aware about what is the latest that's happening in your industry, and it will keep you ahead of the game. And you will have awareness saying when your game is going down, and it will motivate you to keep improving your game every now and then. And the third thing which I would say is, and I would say that this third thing should actually be the first thing, is have clarity. Be clear about what it is that you want.
Mm.
Don't Be clear about what it is that you want, right?
Mm.
And
Yes.
this is easier said than done, actually speaking. And I don't know, you are probably a better person to be able to tell people how to do that. um,
Yeah.
Clarity is power. Clarity is great power. We should in what it is that we want to do, what we want to achieve, we should be doing it for ourselves, for the right purpose, and not just to satisfy someone else. And it
Yeah.
shouldn't be a FOMO, something that's core to you, something that you
Yeah.
truly resonate with. If you are able to do these two, three things, clarity and making sure that you are surrounded with the right set of people, and if you're constantly learning, I think that will help address the self doubt and you know uh, those down moments when you are. I think these practices is what help.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Shrikant. Like you said, clarity is the most important thing there. I think in some way I have suffered in my life because I had no clarity what to do.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
And I was always, I had, I have this attention issue even while growing up. I couldn't focus on one thing at one time. Okay, and there was no
Mm.
clarity what to do. I just went on to do whatever society expected from me, my parents expected from me. Um, of course, I'm very, very grateful that I had, great parents who wanted me to study well, do well in life, get a good job, and make a great living. I'm truly grateful to them. But they come with their own, their own perspective, their own expectations and experiences. And what my parents did was the best they could do. I have no complaints about it. But still, um, somewhere I found out through my transformation journey that I was not fulfilled in myself. I was not really proud of what I was
Mm.
doing. There are a lot of internal stuff which I was going through. Even though I was earning really well, I was struggling in life. So part of the reason is I had no clarity where to go from here. I was just going with the flow, and I thank God that he gave me a little bit of intelligence. I could survive somehow for 30 years of my life. I studied well, I did well in my job, but I really couldn't excel, and I really felt I was not fulfilling my fullest potential. And of course, nowadays there is a lot of information. There is a lot of people like you who are sharing their experiences and trying to help other people through their knowledge and experience, by sharing their knowledge and experience. And social media is an absolute leveler of everything. This is what I
Yeah.
feel. You can find anything and everything you want. You just need that clarity what you want to do, and you should have full faith in what you're doing. And anything and everything can be monetized nowadays, right? I was just a weak and skinny kid who wanted to go to gym and become stronger and feel good about myself. But uh, the destiny would have it that I became a fitness coach and a gym owner, and now I'm trying to help other men find their purpose and excel in whatever they want to excel in. So this is what I'm doing currently. So Shri,
No, brilliant. I think that is awesome, right? What you said that you had in Germany and things like that, and to be able to quit that and start a gym in Dharwad, that is a bold move. That's a very, very bold move, and that indicates the kind of clarity which you have, and that's something I'm sure you had a lot of pushback about that as well, right? So that having that clarity and taking that action in the right direction is I think game changer, right? And like you rightly said, internet is a really, really powerful tool, and it is a leveler, and it'll you will get exactly what you're looking for. The question is, what are you looking for? And
yeah,
that what
yeah.
you're looking for comes from what level of clarity that you have, and you'll find the answers.
Yeah, yeah, true. And you said you have to spend time with people and people who are smarter than you. What I say is you need not really be physically present with the people.
Yeah.
You can do it online also nowadays. Like you just follow the people, like you said, follow podcasts and content on the
Yes.
internet, which is valuable and which will propel you in the direction which you want to go. Great, Srikanth. So, couple of things when you were talking about these, tips is one thing about competition. Like nowadays, the competition is also so high. I want to ask you how you see your competition. Are you worried about your competition, or how you manage to stay ahead of your competition? And there is,
That's a great question.
sorry to interrupt. There is also this self-doubt becomes enhanced when you see someone else is doing better than you, especially the person is in your own field.
Yeah, it that's a great question. Right now, competition. The interesting thing is that today competition can come from anywhere. All right, it's like you hear stories about uh, Nokia getting beaten out by Apple, right? Apple was a computer company. They had nothing to do with mobile phones. And you hear about Kodak being beaten out by Sony Ericsson or something like that. And you never know where the competition is really coming from. Like in the case of corporate gifting, my competitor is not necessarily another corporate gifting company. It could be another event management company. It could be another ad agency. It could be another manufacturer of a particular product which is there. So you never know where the competition is really coming from. So there is no point in um, fearing competition, so to say. But you should be wary and you should be watchful. You should be aware about where the competition is going to be coming from. And you should, again, in the context of business, you cannot just be a product pusher. You need to be a problem solver, right? And if you're solving the right problem for the right set of customers, and the problem is deep enough that they are willing to pay for it, um, you will not get obsessed with the product. Like for example, when COVID happened, most businesses suffered, and corporate gifting businesses suffered big time because corporate. I mean, who wants gifts, right? People are dying. There is no clarity. Work from home. All that kind of chaos is going on, right? And several corporate gifting companies shut down. Somehow we grew immensely in those 3 years of COVID. We grew, I think, 4x times we grew our business. And that was by identifying that my business is about solving the problems. What is the problem? My client is a corporate, which is an organization which has employees. And my business is about helping through merchandise, and what else we could be doing it. So when you understand that, we are not just a product pusher. We're not saying, hey, take these t-shirts, take this jackets, take this backpacks. We came up with wellness kits. We said, hey, why don't you send out wellness kits to your employees, not just corporate gifts? Why don't you sell work from home kits to your employees, not just corporate gifts? So once you start understanding what is the problem, and if you're able to become good at solving it, you have the opportunity to be your own competitor. Like there's a very inspiring story. Apparently, Kodak was the company which invented digital cameras, but they felt that the digital camera business will make the printed photography business and printing paper for prints, which is there. No, that was their biggest business, which was there.
Yeah.
They felt that will become obsolete, so they sold that patent or technology to some other company, and that company killed these days. So a lot of times your business needs to evolve as an
Mm.
individual. You need to evolve, and
Yeah.
and if you do these two three things, if you are surrounded yourself with the right people, if you are always learning, and if you are constantly experimenting, you're less likely to be worried about competition. But competition is there everywhere. I don't see any reason. If you be lazy, you have to be worried about competition, right? If you are not lazy and if you are doing your best, I think there is enough opportunity for you that you don't need to really worry about competition. If at all there is somebody who is doing it, um, don't get don't get relaxed about it, saying, "Hey, nothing will happen." I was watching a movie called Blackberry recently, and
Mm.
Blackberry, it's a strong movie recommendation that I would say. I think it's on Amazon Prime or somewhere it is there. It's about how BlackBerry phones evolved, and when iPhone launched, BlackBerry, the founders took it very easy. They said nothing is going to happen. This phone doesn't have buttons. People are used to buttons and all of that kind of. So you shouldn't be complacent about a competitor. You should be wary, but you should not be scared. You should do your best, is what I would say.
Yeah, great, Srikanth. So just to draw this lesson and use the same analogy in a work environment. Like if you're not an entrepreneur, you're just an employee. Uh, this mental model of solving problem is a very, very great model because as an
Correct.
employee, you are there to solve a certain problem of the company or the team you're working in. And
Yeah.
one of the greatest advice I got about this was from Andy Frisella, who is a multimillionaire in US and who is the creator of this 75 hard challenge. I've been following him from very, very long time. He also has an incredible story to share, but um, he shared that as an employee you can be an entrepreneur, like within the organization,
Correct.
and you're trying to solve the problem of your senior up, like maybe your supervisor or your manager. If you try to solve the problems of your manager, and inevitably the manager has to favor you, and if you take
Yeah.
up you know um, if you take initiative and do the work which your manager is doing, then when he gets a promotion, the person who will get promoted immediately be uh, will be the person who is capable of doing that, and he has already showcased it through his initiatives. So that's a great example, Shrikant. So since I've talked about employees and working in a job, what advice would you give since you are an employer and you have a team of over 100 people now? Uh, what qualities do you look in people to promote and bring them up and try to try to help them also progress? What are the things you look as an employer, or let's say a supervisor or a manager in your own company?
It's exactly what you shared, Adarsh. Entrepreneurship is basically about taking ownership, trying to not stick to the job description, saying this is what I've been told to do. I've been, like in the Family Man, that guy says, right? Don't be the bare minimum guy, right? If you are, and a lot of people are so distracted with today's social media, and social media has created so much FOMO that I need to go do this, I need to be that, all that kind of stuff. That lot of people are just bare minimum. The best version that they put out is during interviews, right? After the interviews, their best version is not visible anymore. Again, during appraisal time. So don't be that. Don't be that. Make sure you are first find a job that you love doing, and try to identify what is it that you love doing. Join, work for a company, work for a boss or a manager, work for a industry. Do in a work in a role that you love doing, and when you're in that role, be a problem solver, take ownership, right? And give it your 100%, and don't limit yourself. Be unlimited is what I would say. Don't limit yourself saying this is all that I will do, right? Even it's okay, even if you are not, because the way you work, and I think others said something a little earlier about how you do something, it'll overflow into other ways of your life, right? The way I say it is, how you do anything is how you'll do everything,
Yeah.
right? So irrespective, even if you feel that this company is not my dream company, the salary that I'm getting is not my dream salary, and things like, you give your best version no matter what, because that is a habit that you build, that is a practice that it becomes, and that is who you eventually are. Whether you change the company or whether you continue to work for the company, you as an individual, what is your value, what are your values, what is your mission, what is your style of working, what are you known for, what is your personal brand? When somebody says others, what do they think of? What are the first three things that they think of? Come from how you work, how you contribute to your work and to your team, and the results that you're delivering and things like business. A lot of people there, I mean, if you look up YouTube, I think you find a lot of tips on how to give great interviews, right? But there isn't enough tips available on how to be great at your job. I would say you don't really need tips. Just be your best, give your 100%, give the absolute best that you can, be as committed as possible, and the results will automatically start to show. That is my advice to anybody, and that's
Um,
irrespective of what they are doing. I think that holds true.
Yeah, great, Shrikant. So one thing I observed is in an work environment, let's say it's a corporate environment, it is always about trying to impress the boss, or let's say get more out of the company, get promotion, get a on-site opportunity, salary hike. And if the company is not doing it, employees they become very resentful towards the manager or the company itself. This was the case which I observed when I was in a working environment. uh, they even start bad mouthing the founder. Like NRN used to get a lot of bad mouthing when I was in Infosys,
Yeah.
because at
Mm.
that time Infosys was a very see, one of the best companies I worked is Infosys. And uh, but still we have to agree that the pay scale is very low for employees
Yeah.
at Infosys. And people used to have that lot of negative feelings about the company
Yeah.
and the founders. um, but but in that process they are actually downgrading themselves, they are actually
True.
killing their character. And
True.
this is something which I should have realized very very long back. But anyways, better late than never, I realized it, that your value is how you see yourself and how you bring yourself up in any
Yeah.
situation. Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'll kind of add to that, others, what you said. Water always finds its own level, because I remember uh, even when I used to be there, people used to say, "Hey, the other company is paying so much. The other company this that," but you're not there, boss, because you didn't make it. Not that you didn't have the opportunity to go sit for those interviews. Because even in my college, there were other companies which are paying high. I didn't make it through those interviews. Not that I didn't attend. I attended and I didn't get the job. And all those people who, so this is what you're currently worth, right? Now you want to earn more, you want to do that, upskill yourself, upgrade your level. Don't just keep comparing with what somebody else is doing. And that person who's working for that organization, earning higher, is probably working a lot harder, is doing something right. And you can do that as well. And make sure you upskill yourself. Do that, please do that. and upskill yourself. Don't be resentful towards that organization, because it's all that it is doing is it is taking energy away from you. It's not helping you grow. It's always easiest to blame somebody, right? Blame the government, blame the roads, blame in-laws, blame
Blame
friends, blame whoever, blame
blame the
everybody
manager.
except blaming manager, blaming the company, blaming my boss, blaming my. It's easiest to blame someone else. It's is when we have taken control of our own ship.
Yeah, yeah. Great, Srikanth. So connected to the same topic, uh, with your experience of leadership, and also you champion the cause of employee engagement, and you try
Correct.
to help companies to increase employee engagement. What will be your advice to the management people, like people who are in the managerial position, leadership position, who are managing the, multiple employees, and also the people at the top of, running a company or something? What will be your advice to those people?
See, today we are in an age where um, employee expectations are very, very different from what they were 20 years back. Right? 20 years back, when I was graduating out of college, I remember a very senior person at Infosys came and addressed. There were 600 people in the Mysore training campus, and they asked, "What do you want out of a job?" Not one person had a clear answer, and they were just saying, "I just want to make sure I'm getting salary." Right? But today it's not like that. Today employee expectations are very, very different. They have a lot more clarity what kind of projects they want to work on, what kind of technology they want to work on, what kind of skills they want to work on, which department they want to work on, where they want to be in life, and things like that, right? So so back in those days, you could take anybody, train them and fit them into any position, and they will, you know uh, the we were lower down the priority of Maslow's hierarchy, right? So roti, kapda, makan, these basics were still unfulfilled. Today, there are plenty of ways for people to earn, right? That insecurity about job doesn't exist anywhere. Anywhere it doesn't exist, right? Even my delivery boys, they'll just walk out. They don't care if you don't treat them well. They will walk out. They'll say Swiggy ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. Okay, they don't. There is so much opportunities which is there, which is so. If you want to make sure that you have a good team, engage them right from recruitment to retention. I think the mantra is finding the right people for the right job. If you are able to somehow find people whose skills and whose passions are kind of matching your values of the organization and the role which is there, then it is going to exceed. Like, there are so many times where we hire people for operations, then we realize actually he's getting bored in operations. If we move him into sales, he will excel really well. And somebody we hire for somebody in sales, and then we realize, hey, if we move them into accounts or finance, they'll be doing better. So if you're somehow able to find the right person for the right job and help them grow, and if they're enjoying what they're doing, right, then there will be less stress, less burnout in the system. So as an organization, as a business leader, your job is to make sure that as many people are becoming better versions of themselves. And the number one to do that is, ikigai, finding that match of all those circles, right? Your passion, profit, and all of that kind of stuff. That way, if you're able to somehow find people who and get them to do what they love doing, that
Mm.
is the ultimate hack for employee engagement.
Yeah, great, Srikanth. So, Srikanth, I think we are running short of time, but I cannot let you go without talking about your biggest, down and biggest failure. So quickly, I'll share what the story is, and I want you to share how you came out of it. So, Srikanth, um, it was, I think, around 2014. You were trying to, get funded, and you're running behind this, venture capitalist, and you're spending a lot of time in getting funded, and in the process, you went into almost bankruptcy, and you were in a debt of 3 crore rupees, which was huge for you at that point of time, and you almost ran out of business. So I want you to share how you came out of that. And uh, I'm pretty sure, like, you did not went into, 3 crores of debt overnight. It was, it took a certain period of time. What was going through your mind during this period when you went down, and how did you really realize this was the time to stop chasing something which was not working, and start focusing on getting out of the ditch you were in. How you came out of it? Like, what helped
Yeah.
you to come out of it?
So, that was a very, very tough phase for me. And um, to identify when you got into that trouble, it's basically it's a dead end. You're in 3 CR debt. There are rentals to pay, there are salaries to pay, and things like that. And you know that over the next 1 or 2 months you're not going to be able to do it, so you need to take corrective action. There's no other way, right? There's absolutely no other way. And I had uh, a few people gave me advice saying, look, just face it. It's okay. Be You're not taking you're not running away or you're not doing anything. Be honest about it. Some people will say, okay, I'll give you more time, and some people may be very negative about it and things like that. But it's better to face it than to hide from such a situation, right? So that's when I knew it. But a lot of people ask me, how did you come out of it, right? And I want to say that there is no one step saying this is what you do and you come out of it. You have to fight every day. It is like every day you have to have your focus. Like for almost what I think 3 years, I didn't go for any family functions. I was always thinking about work. I had my goal saying, today how much revenue did I generate, right? I made every hour count. Even if I went for a wedding or something, I knew, okay, this person is going to be coming, he is working in this organization, I somehow have to get in touch with him and I have to tap into that business, right? So it was like that. So when you are in a ditch and when you want to come out, it is, you have to fight one day at a time, 1 hour at a time. Keep your head down, make sure you're focused on that. And one, if you're in business, one client at a time, I would say that people, we wish that uh, somebody will come and you'll find an Aladdin's lamp or whatever, but that's not going to happen. You have to fight every single thing. You have to make sure, identify the negatives. What are the things which you will not do? Not take on more loan, or not take orders which have too much credit period which you cannot service, or those kind of things. These are things which I will not do. And what are the things I will do? These are the things which I will do. I'll make sure I go for client meetings no matter what. I'll make sure I work extra hard, longer hours, or whatever it is. Those are the things you need to do. There is no alternative to that, right? You need to make sure. People talk about smart work versus hard work and all of that kind of stuff, but really, smart work is a layer on top of hard work, is what I feel, right? You may think, hey, AI can do all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, but first you need to lay the foundation. You need to make sure you learn AI. You need to make sure you practice for hundreds of hours. Make sure you do all of that. Then AI is going to work for you. But if you just think, hey, I'm going to put a prompt on ChatGPT and it's not that simple. So
Yeah.
don't confuse hard work with smart work. Both are equally important. If you are just working plain hard but you're not being smart about it, it's like running race in the opposite direction. You're running really hard but you're running in the opposite direction. It's not going to take you anywhere. You should know which direction you're going in, of course. But if you are refusing to run and you're just going to be using some cliched quotes and things, say, I'm going to be working smart, and it's not going to work. There is no, let me give you the pill. There is no alternative to hard work. You need to be prepared to work really, really hard if you want to achieve something in life. And this work-life balance and so many of these jargon which we use are, it's important. I'm not saying that you should always be hustling and you should compromise on health. None of that kind of stuff, right? But I just want you to know that how hard you work is what is going to determine how far you go. And all the rosy stories which we hear about somebody who made billions of dollars or whatever it is, we don't see, nobody's telling about the hard work which has gone behind that, right? We don't see that. Everybody's talking about only the rosy great things. Not enough people are talking about their failures, about the hard work that went into the blood, sweat, and tears that went into making that happen. And because of that, we don't see it. But I want to say it as loud and clear as possible that you got to slog it out. That's the only way.
Yeah. So let's say hard work plus smart work will always beat smart work or hard work alone, right?
Alone, yeah, absolutely, yes.
Srikanth. Okay. So we are. I have a couple of final questions to ask. So one thing I want to ask you is, what are the regular habits which have helped you immensely in your personal growth?
I think I'm an absolute lifelong learner, right? So you when I have some free time, earlier I used to read a lot of books, but now a lot of podcasts, watching a lot of videos, and I do read books also, but I'm finding it more efficient to
Mm.
listen to podcasts right now. That is something which I really enjoy, and making sure uh, a base level of fitness you should not let go. That is something which is very very important, and that's something which I really appreciate about what it is that you do, because
Yeah.
typically when you are stressed is when you will let go of fitness and meditation. I feel no matter what, you should not let go of that, right? And that keep that as the foundation and build everything else on top of that. I would say these things: your basic wellness, personal wellness, what kind of food you're consuming, and generally somehow when you are going down in your professional or whatever challenges that you're facing, you let go of you start to let go of food habits. You start to eat junk. You start to drink maybe and things like that. You stop working out, all of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, right? So that is something which should be the bare minimum. Saying this, you should never let go of, and I feel if those learning and your personal wellness, if you're taking care of it, the rest are something which you can build and evolve over on top of it.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice, Srikanth. See, learning, reading, watching podcasts will actually, it's like an exercise for your brain, which will help you solve all
Yeah.
your problems, which means less stress. And another thing I want to point out is stress is actually very bad for you in terms of your health, because stress will force you to eat more junk, because whenever you eat more food, it is kind of soothing. It's a soothing mechanism.
Mm.
Okay,
Okay.
that is where the term stress eating comes from. When you're stressed or you're anxious or you're feeling low, you find comfort in food and
Mm.
drinking and stuff like that. Great advice, Shrikant. So, one more last question is, how do you manage? See, you are a busy person, you run a big operation, you got a lot of things going on in your life. How do you manage to strike balance and harmony between your work life, personal life, and relationships?
Yeah. So I think that's a great question, right? So now one of the things that I say is I come back to, if you love what you do, right? Um, this work-life balance is comes into picture when work and life are very very different from each other, right? When you think of it like that, if you say this is work and this is life, right?
Mm.
But if you are enjoying what it is that you're doing, they are not really very very different. And especially as an entrepreneur, and especially if, I mean, and it's not true for all entrepreneurs. I think entrepreneurs are among the most stressed and extremely under a high level of risk most of the lot of times. But generally speaking, if you are able to, because no matter what, about 8 to 10 hours you are going to work was, and if you say during those 8 to 10 hours it's going to be work, the rest of the time you're going to, for me it has to blend in relatively well, right now I'm on a holiday, I'm coming anywhere and I'm enjoying doing this podcast. And today morning I was replying to a lot of emails. Today is Sunday and I'm replying to emails, I'm doing my research, and I'm loving it. There's no, so as long as you're able to blend it in together and not think, for me it is relatively easier, I think. And I see it's not so much for everyone, but somehow try to think of a blend of work and life. That's my advice. I hope I don't get trolled or beaten up for this. But that's the way I see it. I don't see it as two very different things. They are, if you see it as two different things, that's when you will try to avoid it. If you are able to blend it in somehow, feel free to take on personal calls, meet your friends on a midweek for lunch. I
Mm.
like to build my lifestyle in such a way. I like, if there is any shopping, any personal things to do, I like to do it in the middle of the week, because weekends are extremely crowded if you go to malls or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
So if you're able to somehow blend work and life and not try to balance work and life, I think that works best for me. I'm very happy even. when I'm on holidays, I'm very happy taking calls, taking on meetings where it's required. So it's not exclusive holiday and exclusive business. And on business days, I'm happy, to go out, meet, to do any personal stuff and things like that. So if you're able to find that blend, not balance, I think you'll be a lot more happy.
Yeah, Shrikant. One more thing I forgot to ask is, do you have any book recommendations and podcast recommendations which can help in personal growth, especially for men?
Okay. I, I'm an out and out business guy. Okay. So everything that I read and watch and everything is usually business. I've read a lot of business books, and one of my favorite business book has been Blue Ocean Strategy. I forget the name of the author, some French person, I think. It's called Blue Ocean Strategy. Phenomenal book. My understanding of that book changed the way I was able to run my business. And there are plenty of great podcasts. There is one thing called WTF by Nikhil Kamath, who's the co-founder of Zerodha. There
Yeah,
is, I think, GrowthX or something like that by Mukesh Bansal, who's the founder of Mintra and Cult. There is something called Barber Shop by Shantanu, something Shantanu, who's the founder of Bombay Shaving Company,
yeah, yeah.
where these are really long format, right?
Yeah.
Uh, 2 hours, 3 hours long podcast, really in depth. These are something which I love, specifically in the context of business. I don't listen to any podcast other than that.
See, any advice is a great advice. Like there will be people who are entrepreneurs and business people who are listening to this now. So thank you, Shrikant, for that. So one last and final question is, what is your vision for your company of Affiniates? Where are you taking your company now, and how can people connect with you if there is a business owner or someone who might be interested in associating with your business or getting your services? Uh, Please go ahead and share about that.
Yeah, Offineeds is an end-to-end B2B e-commerce platform for corporate gifting. So we are at a phase where we are on the verge of launching a B2B e-commerce platform. So where we want to make it easy and accessible for anyone to be able to leverage on the power of corporate gifts, to be able to improve employee engagement, to be able to improve their brand building, to be able to build better, stronger relationships with their customers, and so on. And we want to remove the hassle out of it. So we are on the verge of launching something very very interesting just around the corner. So the best way for anybody to get in touch with me would be I'm very active on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, please do connect with me and hit me up. And if you have any corporate gifting needs, please ping me. I'll be happy to show you the right direction how we can help.
Yeah, great, Shrikant. I can watch for that, Shrikant. You have been very, 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 very kind and generous. You are very accessible. You reply to messages even after being a very busy person, which is very rare to find these days. So that is how you got on this podcast. Yeah. So, Shrikant, thank you so much for sharing your experience and a lot of these lessons you shared. I think it will go a long way for anybody who is listening to this to help them. But Shrikant, you are a gold mine, and we have barely scratched the surface. I would like you to commit here that you will come back again on the podcast whenever whenever we find time or the situation arises for that. I think because I
Sure.
had a lot of questions and I barely covered half of those in this conversation.
Right, absolutely. It was an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Adarsh. I think what you're doing is amazing. Keep up the good work. I have a very high regard for you for
Thank
the
you.
fact that you let go of, so to say, a high-paying job, very glamorous kind of a job, and took up your passion, and you're now helping a lot of men, um, find their purpose. So more power to you. It was great speaking to you, and yeah, needless to say, if there's an opportunity somewhere in the future, would love to have another conversation with you on this podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Looking forward to that day, Shrikant. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.